St. Mary's Vunapope Hospital reopens for service. ICCC gives nod for Telikom-DataCo merger. And lays popular main market under new management.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. Nurses and doctors at the St. Mary's Vunapope Hospital in East New Britain Province returned to work today. This follows a 3-day closure of the hospital, prompted by ongoing incidents of burglary and harassment of their staff by locals. Yesterday afternoon, the hospital staff met with senior provincial leaders and agreed to resume services today.
Today was business as usual at the St. Mary's Vunapope Hospital. On the main gate leading into the hospital wards, the placard indicating the closure of the hospital was pulled down to mark the start of work again. On Friday last week, a group of men broke into the female nurse single quarters. More than 5,000 worth of belongings were stolen.
But when they went through all those doors, they opened it up with a pinch bar.
On Saturday morning, the hospital staff gathered and agreed to close the hospital indefinitely to show their frustrations. Patients who turned up at the hospital were prevented entry. They were sent back to where they came from.
Such activities that is affecting doctors that we are almost every time been targeted, and also other support staff and health workers. It's affecting the provision of health services in the hospital. And we sympathize with those that are seeking service at our hospital. So.
Last weekend's incident is a recent one in a series of many others that has hit the hospital premises this year alone. The St. Mary's Vunapope Hospital is a Catholic-run institution, and it is one of the 2 biggest referral hospitals in the province, and its closure over the past 3 days has greatly affected the entire province.
One bell na mipla binagri, management do agree na mipla one bell that yes, mipla masopim do. So the hospital will be opening its doors.
As in many urban communities, when crimes are committed, there's always someone who knows the troublemakers. The reaction from the community has been one of outrage. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Security guards and police officers in Manus province prevented a fire to a dormitory believed to have been started by an Iranian non-refugee near Lorengau. According to police, the incident occurred on Monday when the suspect was drunk and set fire to the building at the camp at Hillside House, West Lorengau. Manus Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector David Yapu said when police went to apprehend the suspect, he broke glasses in the window of the room. He is yet to be arrested because he is being treated for cuts to his hand at the Lorengau General Hospital. This is the second fire incident in less than 4 months. Medang Sagalao Demonstration Primary School will close and about 900 students sent home if the tuition fee-free delay continues. Head teacher Stal Columbus says the National Education Department owes them 130,000 kina. This amount dating back to year 2014. Mr. Columbus says the TFF is a good policy if only the government can provide enough funding for schools to operate.
Sagalao Demonstration Primary School is one of the oldest schools in PNG. It is a level 7 school with almost 900 students from grades 3 to 8. The delay in the TFF payment will affect these students. Head teacher Stal Columbus says schools have not been paid on time and the amount of money paid is not sufficient to settle outstanding bills.
We have a lot of things to do. And since 2015, when there was insufficient funding, we weren't able to build infrastructure, activities like classrooms and teachers' toilets and teachers' houses, as well as doing other maintenance work in the school. And of course, it's very difficult to run a school without much funds like that.
In the first term, the school only received 26,000 kina. That payment covers the administration cost, learning materials and other costs needed to run the school. But it is not enough to sustain the school's operation through to the end of the second term. and they are yet to receive the second TFF payment.
Yeah, we received only 26,000 kina. Unlike when it was introduced first in 2012 and 13, we received first payment. We received 140,000, and then the next payment towards the end of the year, it was good. But for this year, we will receive 26,000 kina. That's really, and the second payment we haven't received yet.
The school has requested parents to pay project fees to assist the school counter the TFF delays. However, parents did not pay the fees imposed based on the TFF policy.
We've requested parents through our PNC meeting to pay a little bit to support us while waiting for the TFF funding, but because parents, been told that they must not pay anything, so despite our resolutions being passed in the PNC meeting, only a few would manage to help, and most of them don't want to help.
Earlier this month, we also talked to two schools, Talidik and Goom Primary. Both schools are also on the verge of sending their students home if the second payment of TFF doesn't arrive on time. Our attempts to get comments from the Provincial Education Director, Moses Sariki, for almost 3 weeks now were turned down. Martha Lewis, National MTV News, Medang.
The National Capital District's component of the TVET scholarship program will be paid. This assurance is from NCD Governor Paul Pakop after queries were raised by parents of the delay in payment. Governor Pakop told MTV that there was a delay with preparing the list, but all that has been sorted out and they are waiting for NCDC's accounts team to raise the check. The scholarship program is for permanent NCD residential students attending schools throughout the country. The country's competition watchdog has given its authorization for the proposed merger of state-owned enterprises Telikom-PNG and DataCo. ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain announced the decision, saying in its assessment of the acquisition, it was found that the potential benefits would outweigh the possible detriments to competition for consumers. The Independent Consumer Competition Commission, ICCC, today announced the result of their assessment of the proposed merger between two state-owned telecommunication companies, Telikom-PNG Limited and DataCo Limited. According to ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain, the assessment sought views from stakeholders, including competitors and members of the public, on their views on whether they agreed for the merger to go ahead. Based on submissions received, the ICCC has taken into account both the perceived benefits as well as the possible detrimental effects to consumers as a result of this proposed merger. After considering the submissions, the ICCC has given its authorization for the merger of Telikom-PNG and DataCo to proceed. According to Mr. Ain, although DataCo may have been seen as insignificant, it does have influence in the overall telecommunication sector.
Considering that everyone else thinks that DataCo may be an insignificant player in the industry, but in a long term, if sufficient investment is done to it, then over time it can become one of a good competitor in the industry. That may not be anti-competitive. It is only strengthening the position of the players in the industry. At the moment, we have only one strong player, and that is vertically integrated and is very powerful at the moment and dominant. So in our view, by merging the two, will place them in a position not necessarily to compete at this initial stage very strongly, given the weak position now. So over time they may be strengthened, but the opportunity there now for anyone of the players around the world to come in and compete with the existing players in the market. And the other option is through satellite.
With the go-ahead given by ICCC, both entities now have been given 12 months to complete the proposed transaction.
12 months period to complete this transaction as far as the ICCC Act is concerned.
Whilst the ICCC has authorized this transaction, they acknowledge the possible effects to pricing for consumers, and they have given an assurance that they will be working with NICTA, the telecommunications industry regulator, to ensure that competitive pricing regimes remain.
To be a regime in place so that not only the current competitors in the market like Digicel and all other small ISP can have access to, but also if you had like new entrants trying to come in, there's a regime in place so it's they can have access to it. That's not unreasonably withheld by Telecom because it's already operating in other markets. So we're discussing this along with NICTA as the telecommunications regulator, and we hope to set in place this access regime soon.
What we, like Emmanuel said, what we are doing now is to work with NICTA to address that under their licensing powers. So NICTA has already provided us a draft copy of the license for the METS entity, and we are currently reviewing it to help NICTA to impose those conditions.
The proposed merger of DataCo and Telecom PNG is part of Kumul Consolidated Holdings Limited's efforts to bring together its SOEs within the communications space under the umbrella of Kumul Telecom, with Telecom PNG, DataCo and B-Mobile all coming under this new umbrella company. A three-day workshop attended by over 20 participants from various organizations will be focusing on agro-meteorology advisory services for PNG. Agro-meteorological service and advisories are an innovative step to continue to weather information-based crop and livestock management strategies and operations. Head of the FAO PNG office, Ken Shimizu, said assisting farmers in coping with these climate shocks through informed decisions in agriculture risk management is vital.
Over 20 participants from various organizations, mainly from the agriculture sector, will be getting trained in agro-meteorological advisory over the next 3 days. This service is an advanced step added to weather information-based crop or livestock management strategies and operations. It is keen to improving crop production by giving real-time crop and location-specific agromet services with outreach to rural communities.
Can manage better. You have been resilient, but hopefully out of this, we will have the sectors and the different commodities manage your crops better.
UN Food and Agriculture Organization is facilitating the training in partnership with the Department of Agriculture and Livestock, National Weather Services, and the Regional Integrated Multi-Hazard Early Warning System. FAO is adamant in delivering this vital capacity development need for PNG through the partnership.
Communities that have relied on traditional knowledge of farming are finding that the business as usual is no longer applicable, and they need to get smarter. So here's where we can come in. We work across globally also and within the region to assist rural communities by supporting the delivery of actionable agriculture-related advisory services.
The fluctuation of climate change is causing drastic changes in weather patterns, which in turn greatly affects the agriculture sector. This is why agromet advisories are extremely important.
Competitive internationally, if we want to build our agriculture sector and modernize the agriculture sector like the Israelis are doing, simply because we don't have the data, we don't have the backup service. We need early warning systems. And I think this workshop is timely. Agriculture, we all know that it's a human activity that is intimately linked to climate. We have to take a closer look at how we interact with the environment so that our agriculture practices and development aspirations do not jeopardize our well-being and that of our future generations.
FAO is committed to assisting rural communities by supporting the delivery of actionable agriculture-related advisory services. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We go for a break now and we're back with more of the day's stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. The lay market has been put under new management following recommendations from the 2017 audit report commissioned by the Office of the Lay MP. At 5:30 a.m. this morning, police and city authorities made the transition. They also put in place a new cash accounting system that saw the first takings in 4 years collected and recorded by City Council staff.
This will hopefully be the start of a new look Lae market that is better managed and beneficial to the public. The changeover started early this morning. A new management was appointed, and this morning they and the police took over operations of the market and introduced a new record-keeping system. It seems very basic, but it represents an important change.
Ticket is the 5 kina here, but this 5 kina will cover the ticket, the toilet is going to be free, and it will cover wheelbarrow and everything else. And
starting this morning, every vendor paid a fee and was given a receipt. Those fees were collected and given to staff at the market cash office. Surprisingly simple, but according to an investigation into the Lae City Council commissioned last year by the Lae District, none of the takings from the market were ever received by the council over the last 5 years.
After long, almost 7 to 8 years, service market in Wood. The problem is at the same time to money belong all takings market in Mantap now this person is. Me believe me by helping na service now by very improved.
When the market opened this morning, 600 kina was collected in a space of 2 hours from just one gate. According to estimates provided to the 2017 investigation team, Lae market generates between 5 and 9,000 kina per day, and that translates to an approximate monthly revenue of 250,000 kina per month and about 3 million kina per year. That's enough to rebuild infrastructure and improve services. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
A 3-day workshop for provincial traffic officers has commenced outside Port Moresby. Road Traffic Authority Chief Executive Nelson Terma says the training is to prepare police and the Traffic Enforcement Unit before the 2014 Traffic Act is implemented on the 1st of June. Over 25 officers are attending the training at the Bomana Police College.
The training is part of Road Traffic Authority and police preparedness to implement the 2014 Road Act come June 1st. The trainers' training will cover key aspects of the new act, the conduct of enforcement officers and penalties for traffic law breakers.
I encourage all provincial administrators to, have to fast track in signing that MOU with the RTA, because with the new rules and regulations, there will be new charges, fees, and all this will be increased. Therefore, it is proper for the provinces to sign up with RTA so that those rules and regulations can be effectively implemented at a provincial level.
Mr. Terama added that the training plays a key role for a safe traffic for all users. He says the participants will then impart the training manual to the Provincial Enforcement Unit. According to the head of RTA, the Act will also see enforcement powers delegated to provincial governments.
Basically, it's the whole Motor Traffic Act, but some amendments have been made. So the trainers will go back to their own provinces and train their own manpower at the provincial level.
Transport Secretary Roy Mumu also witnessed the opening of the training this morning. Mr. Mumu says the 2014 Road Act has been gazetted and approved for effect.
One of the expected outcomes of that policy document is to establish this new Road Traffic Act that will merge the existing road public transport related legislations. That's the Motor Traffic Act, the Heavy Vehicle Licensing Act, the Motor Car Dealers Act, the Land Transport Board Act, and the related regulations.
The traffic trainers' training will end on Thursday. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Transport Department Secretary Roy Mumu says relevant agencies are working to establish a central traffic database for the country. Mr. Mumu says this will also help authorities know the number of vehicles, their owners, and what type of vehicle is supposed to use certain roads. He says it will take time to complete the database, but it will be helpful for the country.
We hope that within the next couple of months, we will have a new centralized database that will have every system that is currently operating on standalone arrangement and Motor Vehicle Insurance Limited the provincial administrations. We should have just one national database so that we can have a record of all the drivers in PNG, all the vehicle owners in PNG. When vehicles are imported to Papua New Guinea, they come through this central database so that we know who is who, how many vehicles are on the road, and all of this.
Two stories from today's Parliament session now, and Health Minister Sepuka Temu has confirmed the country has received new supplies of the antiretroviral treatment drugs. The minister said the government issued an urgent emergency order for supplies which are already in the country and will be distributed soon.
The health minister confirmed the country was in short supply of the antiretroviral treatment drugs. However, he said the government has responded swiftly and have now received new supplies.
We did an urgent emergency order, and I want to assure that 500,000 tablets are now sitting at the customs.
He says there are currently 26,000 confirmed persons who are on the ART drugs, and the new supply will last them for the next 4 months before the next supply. He also confirmed that UNAIDS and UNICEF have come in to assist.
We've worked with UNAIDS, so UNICEF is now mobilizing another 3 to 4 months worth of antiretrovirals. I'm assured by our UNICEF team that they should be in the country within 2 weeks, but I asked them if they can move them very, very fast.
Minister Temu said the government is aiming to fully equip every health and rural aid posts in the country. This includes medical equipment and drug supplies.
Only 100% medical kits, which are for aid posts and health centers. We did the first release phase, arrived in February. As we speak, the second phase has arrived, and the third one, final one, will arrive in August this year. So most of our aid posts and health centers should have sufficient cover for the rest of the year.
In the meantime, the minister said there are procurement processes in place and every province must notify the health department if they are running low in supplies or have not received any.
We would want to know of any pockets of centers that are running out so that we can do the emergency purchases quickly, get the special items out quickly.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says the government is pushing for reforms in the election process. Mr. O'Neill said the government, through relevant agencies, will present a bill to Parliament for new legislative reforms for voting, counting and cases related to election petitions. The Prime Minister said this following questions raised by NCD Governor Paul Sparko in Parliament this afternoon.
With over 50 election petition cases pending in the courts, NCD Governor Powers Sparko pursued government's intentions for a better election process for the country. Governor Sparko said the election process is becoming costly and better ways of conducting the election must be established.
You mean where they go last minute now, like working reform here, people are complaining now. You mean working reform now, we stop. Yet, Lord, one system where it's very problematic. And
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill responded, saying government agencies had been working on these following lessons learned after the 2017 general elections.
To inform this Honourable House that Cabinet has already suggested some reforms to the Law Reform Commission. We have tasked them to carry out this task immediately. Our aim is to come to the November session of Parliament with the legislative reforms that we want to put to Parliament for each on debate and approval.
The legislative reforms will see improvements in the type of voting system, counting and duration of the whole election process. The Prime Minister said the elections always have dramatic effects on the country's economy, law and order and well-being of the nation. He says a better system is needed.
We have some challenges still remaining. And that is why it's important that we have a simple system that is going to make it easier for our people to vote and making sure that the counting process is made easier and the elections results can come out as quickly as possible so that we can get on with the process of formation of governments.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
The May session of Parliament got underway with the country's economic outlook the centre of debate in questions without notice this afternoon. KVN MP Ian Lingstaki called on the government to be frank with the status of the economy and called on the government to come clean with the 2018 budget. He also proposed for an external entity to review the 2018 national budget. Deputy Prime Minister and Treasurer Charles Abel responded to Mr. Lingstaki's list of questions.
But I think the story, Mr. Speaker, is that despite these issues, we continue to progress. We continue to obtain financing from most of the leading financiers in the world, including the World Bank and the ADB, as part of our budget strategy. The Credit Suisse balance, the third tranche that we're about to draw down this week. And of course, the situation is beginning to improve. The collapse of the oil price, it's now turning around as we move back into above $70. You will see a significant turnaround. In fact, Mr. Speaker, if it was not for the earthquake, with these changing circumstances and the recovery of the global economy, we would have performed significantly above the budget expectations of the 2018 budget.
Yeah, with Tuesday's news, we'll have more on the other side of these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to Tuesday's news. The Lae City Council's Health Division has confirmed that the sausage factory did not have a proper waste disposal system and is currently in breach of the city's zoning laws. The Director of the Health Division, Jonathan Ipang, conducted an inspection on the site where they found further breaches of health regulations. The company was told to operate again on the 14th of this month by an officer from the Lae City Council Health Division without an official permission notice. Mr. Ipang said this officer will be suspended. Julie Badwe-Owa has been following this story.
This is the fourth inspection this year on Wongsheng Limited. The company has been dumping factory waste into the nearby waterway. Residents nearby have been complaining about the waste over 4 years. The City Council only took heed of the problem after intense media attention over the last 3 months. The factory was ordered to shut on the 17th of April. They resumed operation but were reported to the City Council. This morning, the Director of the city's Health Division conducted another inspection.
Why reason why people are closing? Because established standards from our factory.
The Chinese owners of the sausage factory were ordered to open the freezer. Inside, old unsold sausages were stacked in unsanitary conditions, exposed to contamination. The meat, much of it discolored, were still being kept ready for any future operations. Sausage mixes, flour and other ingredients still held in buckets. When the factory was in operation, the goods were sold in shops in the city. They even sold meat products to other provinces. The factory is operating illegally. It was built at the wrong place. It's trading without a license and doesn't have permit to operate as a factory.
At the moment, all yet long comply with the monster, so we don't open it yet. So if any officers may come inside the backside without my consent, they may come open, then that means bribery now taking place.
Ipang warned the company to remain closed. As head of the Health Division, he also has his own problems. Today, he admitted that some of his officers are receiving bribes. The company management also said off camera that an officer from the Lae City Council told them to operate without an official permit after the company was ordered to close on the 17th of April. Mr. Ipang said those involved will be given termination notices after the management meets next week. Julie Badwe-Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
The 2018 National Mask Festival is on again this year, with South Pacific Export Lager announcing its naming rights. The festival, which aims to promote PNG's diverse cultural masks, will be hosted in Kokopo, East New Britain Province in July.
Thank you, media, for being...
The South Pacific Export National Mask Festival this year will not only see cultural performances but showcase sacred traditional masks that are not usually seen by the public. South Pacific Brewery, who has been sponsoring the event before, decided to come on board big this year.
As with the launch of our art series Can last week, we're on the journey to help share the secret.
to champion what is great about PNG and inspire Papua New Guineans to embrace what is great about our country as a way to progress.
The National Mask Festival Committee was very appreciative of the support by SB Brewery because as a national event, government funding has been lacking.
Sangat macam committee hamamas to thank you because any hardly long how long running this event because national government and supporting people to mask from this one. It's an initiative from the national government, but it's a bit hard for us. So we are looking for a partner that can support us to move this National Mask Festival.
As one of the New Guinea Islands' flagship events, East New Britain has been hosting the festival for a number of years.
How we do it is we have 4 districts in the province, and the 4 districts, and we change hands every previous year was Fokizel 2016. This last year was Kokopo, and this year's event will be for Baul district. So they're going to host this year's.
Although the National Mask Festival Committee would like to see provinces sending in their traditional performers, they will be partnering with the University of Natural Resources and Environment in Rabaul to encourage students to perform at the event.
We are also insert the education institution into this National Mask Festival, just to cultural preservation. We are trying to engage the youth and empower them so that they can come up and they also learn how to preserve our culture in future.
Stacey Yalo, National EMTV News.
NCD Governor Paul Pakop today pledged 20,000 kina to the Interdenominational Youth for NCD in support of the Interwave Walk program. Through the Active City program, the pledge was made after the Interwave Walk program was seen to have promoted the good and positive work of the Commission. The Interdenominational Youth for NCD hopes to unite youth from all denominations to find a common ground to share the gospel.
Established in 2014, the Inter-Youth Wave organization has up to 8,000 members made up of youths of all denominations.
4 actually, and there's singing going on.
Its purpose is to unite and find a common ground in praising God. Last weekend, NCD Governor Powers Pakop was extended an invite to join in their Wave Walk.
We did not ask him for it, but he himself felt that this is a worthy cause. This cause can change the lives of people when every churches come together, when every youth ministries come together, and out from that conviction that he had, he pledged that amount.
Apart from holding gospel rallies, the group normally does walks led by youths with the tagline Wave Walk.
He was excited about it, being able to see young people walk and meet random people on the street and be able to give them biscuits, be able to give them water, and even clothes as well. Someone just needs a hello, somebody just needs to be hugged, somebody needs to say that God loves you, we love you, we are showing you that we care.
Governor's Office, in its endeavors in making Port Moresby the best city in the Pacific through the Active City program, was impressed with the group's activities.
From the Active City program that they have, and we're greatly here to come and support what they are doing, and also to bring the faith aspect and the gospel aspect into the Active City development program.
Stacey Yalo, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have some sporting updates next in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned for that.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League, and questions have been raised as to why players from the local Intercity Cup competition have not been selected into the Kumuls team. PNG Kumuls coach Michael Marum has made it clear that players will be selected from higher levels of competition. Marum says they want to maintain standards by picking players from these high-level competitions.
Professionalism and
how to.
Players will be selected from the NRL, New South Wales Cup, Queensland Interest Super Cup and the English Super League. Kumul's coach Michael Marum says this selection process has been done for the past 2 years, which has proven effective with the team's positive results.
We can't give it to any player leading, playing lower competitions. They need to be playing in NRL Super League, Interest Super Cup, New South Wales 2 Cups a year. Okay. We've done it in the past, 2016, yes. 17, 18, so, and we've been really successful too, so, and I don't see any reason why we can change that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the way we're heading.
There is a pool of almost 40 players where Marum and his coaching staff can pick from. Throughout the course of this year, the Kumuls will play 4 test matches. Marum says there may be a need to extend the Kumuls camp preparations rather than the usual 1-week camp.
They don't play anymore. We send programs to them to keep them, fit and before they come into camp. So one thing that probably we might do is extend our camp to normally we come together for 1 week. So that will probably can allow us for get together for 2 weeks. But we'll see how we go. They don't play anymore. We send programs to them to keep them fit and before they come into camp. So one thing that probably we might do is extend our camp to normally we come together for 1 week. So that will probably can allow us for get together for 2 weeks. But we'll see how we go.
The recent announcement of the Kumuls 2018 international playing calendar has gotten many players excited as they wait for their call-up.
I speak to James Riviera, Nene McDonald. I speak to Greg Bellamy about Justin. I spoke to him last week, so spoke to Justin. So we'll keep talking. So they're all excited. I Luke Page, I spoke to him just after volley base game. So they're waiting for their call. So.
The Kumuls play their first match next month against the Fiji Batties in the annual Pacific Test and will be without captain David Mead. Marum explained it will be a hassle bringing the Catalans Dragons fullback from England, but he will be considered for other upcoming tests.
Just too tough getting a no other team from the other countries will bring the players over unless they want to, but it's to get into Australia you need at least 2 days and then you get training and then you have to fly back. So we will keep them in our list, but maybe not for the dream test.
Marum says there are plans on involving emerging Kumuls in their camps this year. The Kumuls coaching staff has also been monitoring young PNG players playing in Australia.
I can't release his name. He's been signed by Broncos for 2 years and he's only 16. So he's under scholarship. He's from mixed PNG and Australia. So I've got my coaching staff and the Kumul coaching staff working on that. We're getting together all these names. We want to try and set up another camp for those PNG boys from Australia, playing down in competitions there from the 18s all the way down to 14s.
Elijah Levette, National EMTV Sports.
Still on Rugby League, the Western Britain Provincial Government has thrown its support for a franchise team to take part in the Intercity Cup tournament. A cheque of 100,000 kina was presented to West New Britain Rugby League franchise team board by Governor Sasindran Mutuvel at the Kimbe Rugby Oval recently. Board member Jeffrey Ossa says support continues to grow as the code is widely being established in the province. The funding will be used as seed capital by the operating board to have a team in one of the country's top competitions. Former Kumul and Melbourne Storm winger Marcus Bai is originally from West New Britain. And we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Aussie rules now, and for the first time, critics were proved wrong after 21-year-old Jonathan Ila from Lae, a wheelchair-bound coach, successfully accompanied the national women's AFL team, the Flames, to Melbourne for the International Cup title last year. Ila's presence in Melbourne shocked the international AFL community, being the first coach with a disability to coach a national team. He is also a finalist in the SB Sports Awards Official of the Year category. Jonathan Ila is up against Michael Marum from Rugby League and Alu Kapa for cricket.
Known as the wheelchair man, 21-year-old Jonathan Ila accompanied the national women's AFL team to Melbourne last year to become the first person with a disability to coach a team at a higher level. Jonathan's participation as a national coach at the International Cup title secured him a spot in this year's SP Sports Awards as nominee in the Official of the Year category. Senior AFL PNG Operations Manager Rex Lecker commended Jonathan for his nomination.
Jonathan Ila with the Official of the Year. Now with Jonathan, with his disability, I think if most have known that he's the wheelchair coach. He's based in Lae. Him and the family his mum and dad will be flying down on Friday for the awards night on Saturday. It was successful that we had to take him down as the PNG Flames women's coach, and it was a very big surprise for the AFL in Australia to see a coach with that kind of form to actually get out there to the ovals and all the work and all the struggles that the parents and the family have been going through, taking him back and forth, and but he's got a really strong heart for AFL.
He thanked Jonathan's family for being there for him and making his dreams come true.
With the support of his family, and I'd like to, thank his mum and dad and his siblings for, bringing him this far and making sure that his dreams are been coming through. And
he says while it seems unreal for a person such as Jonathan, and with his condition, it is overwhelming. For the Official of the Year award, Jonathan will be up against some big names that have had much international exposure.
Yeah, it just depends on the night. He's up against 2 other coaches who've been also successful, but he's with a disability, so fingers crossed that he will also, take this one on.
The third nominee in the category is Alu Kappa, who was the first on-field umpire in the first ODI between the Hebo PNG Barramundis and Scotland in 2017. Kappa is the second PNG umpire to officiate in ODIs, following in the footsteps of Lakani Owala. The winner of the Official of the Year will be announced at the SP Sports Awards on Saturday night. Godwin Eki, National, MTV Sports.
The rugby union abroad and the All Blacks have held their first full training session of 2018 in Auckland. The much talked about new attacking plans were being put into place on the field, while the new caps were finding their feet as well. One of them trained just hours after arriving back with his Chiefs team from South Africa.
New All Black Shannon Frizzell was today trying to blend in with his new teammates as the side took to the Blues training field. Frizzell still coming to grips with his call-up, which came on the phone after the Highlanders lost to the Waratahs.
So you thought the phone call was for someone else?
Yeah, I thought it was for someone. I thought he was joking because our manager was a joker.
Frizzell's an impressive physical specimen, 1.95 metres or 6'4", 110 kilos, in a Via Fafita mould. The 24-year-old can move, hit hard, and his ball-playing ability.
The skill set's pretty amazing as far as attacking skills to know where people are in space. You've seen that a few times.
Frizzell grew up in Tonga, spotted and signed by Tasman officials 4 years ago. He says fitness is one of his major improvements.
Because I came here with nothing.
The rest of Frizzell's family is based in Australia. Older brother, league star Tyson, grew up there. The bustling St George forward is now a state of origin and Australian regular.
He's pretty happy for me.
After the interesting colour schemes of recent years, the All Blacks turned back the clock today to black and grey. New cap, halfback Te Toeroa Tahuriorangi slipped into his new get-up and new team after only landing from South Africa late last night. The diminutive former junior league and union star out of Rotorua already impressing with that Aaron Smith-type pass.
That's all as expected, is that any guy that's new just comes in and puts their best foot forward by learning.
New captain Sam Whitelock remained on the sidelines today, still in doubt for the Crusaders this week with concussion. But prospective Test number 8 Liam Squire did train. as an upbeat All Blacks now disband before regrouping in Christchurch on Sunday.
And that's it for Trukai Sports this evening. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, mostly fine with a chance of an evening shower or two. Evening showers likely for Daru and Popondetta. Thundery showers expected in Kerema. Fine, although partly cloudy for Alotau. To the Momase region, fine, although some showers later on for Ley. Showers and rain expected in Wau. Mostly fine for Madang and Wewak. A shower or two for Vanimore. To the New Guinea Islands region, an evening shower or two expected in Lorengau. Kavieng, Rabaul, Kokopo and Buka can expect some thundery showers. Some showers expected as well in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mandi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect fine weather, although some partly cloudy periods over the next 24 hours.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a news, sport and weather for today. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing for the rest of the evening. Good night.